Katie is known as the national voice of healthy kids cooking. She is a former teacher, two-time TEDx speaker, writer, and mom of four kids. She created the Kids Cooks Real Food e-course, which was recommended by the Wall Street Journal as the best online cooking class for kids. Her blog, Kitchen Stewardship, helps families stay healthy without going crazy. And she's on a mission to connect families around healthy food, teach every child to cook, and help families instill those all-important life skills. Amen. I have been looking forward to this chat. So thank you, Katie, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Amy. I love talking about life skills and parents, and we're just going to get into it.
Absolutely. Katie, I know I talked a little bit about your background already, but I'd love for you to share a bit about your entrepreneurship journey and elaborate on how you came to where you are now with all the different pieces.
That is a tough word to say. I always mess it up too. Um, well, I started my adult life as a teacher, as an elementary teacher, and I knew that was what I wanted to be since I was 5. And then, super ironically, I only spent 2 years in the classroom with that, 5 years getting a degree, 2 years in the classroom. Whoops. Um, so I never expected necessarily to be an entrepreneur. It was something that organically happened, but I'm a writer and I'm a teacher. I mean, I'm still teaching, right? So like I have a heart of a teacher and the ability to see, I think, how other people learn and then best serve them in that way. So when I started writing online at Kitchen Stewardship, it began as a way to see if there was an audience for a book idea that I had to teach moms like how to stay healthy without going crazy, how to reduce that tension of your budget and your time and your family's nutrition. And very quickly, I threw the idea of a book out the window because I loved the online community. I loved the commenting. I loved the interaction. And within about 6 months, I was like, whoa, that's some money coming in. Very little, very, very little. But at that time, like I didn't need that much to get excited about. And then within, I think I made my first product just after sort of my 1 year anniversary. I started selling an ebook. And so now more money was coming in and I was more in control of the money. It wasn't, just ads or affiliate stuff. Um, so I think within it might have been 5 years, my income surpassed that of my husband's as a computer programmer. I know. And so we were like, well, that was interesting. Might have been a little more than 5 years. But it just built, I mean, the online world, this was back in 2009 that I started. So there just weren't, the blogosphere wasn't as saturated as it is now. It was easier to grow faster. Um, so so eventually my husband actually left his job. We had within 2 months, we had our fourth child and he left his corporate job because we that was a great idea. Lots of life changes. But it was nice because so he started his own software company building software to serve bloggers like me because I always asked him, honey, can you
I
help
love
me?
that. What a duo.
Yeah, so I we always say I do his marketing and he fixes my blog. So, but it was nice because he had the parachute of me. Like we're not big risk takers. I know a lot of people think entrepreneurs have to be massive risk takers, and we really aren't. I say that we are medium speed, risk averse people. And so we waited until he had this huge parachute of my entrepreneurial income before he left his corporate job. And he knew he could always go back, like we always have like hedges and boundaries and safety nets. So the business kept growing. Luckily, in 2016, I founded Kids Cook Real Food, which is our class to teach kids to cook. So again, that's another larger dollar value product that I'm more in control of. It's not so much at the whims of Google or Facebook or Meta or whatever's coming next. And that was good because in 2018, Google started really hating on natural health bloggers, and my traffic and therefore my income started tanking. And it's probably kitchen stewardship is probably only making 20% or less as what it was in 2018. So if little sister Kids Cook Real Food hadn't grown up and taken
Mhm.
the space, my husband might have had to go back to his corporate job. I don't know if I could ever go back in the classroom at this point now. Like classrooms have changed so much. I'd
Yeah.
figure something else out. But it's the journey has been wild and twisted and unexpected and sometimes fun and sometimes crazy and annoying. But mostly we love the two entrepreneur family because it gives us such flexibility to just go on vacations and raise our kids the way we want to.
I love that because one, I know you said, oh, you only spent 2 years in the classroom, even though that's what you trained for, but you were able to shift. You kind of figured out what you wanted for your life, right? And started different things and then saw and pivoted and all of that. Um, I did not intend to become an entrepreneur either when I started this YouTube channel thing, right? It was the
Oh.
pandemic and I was going, oh, we're just going to do this for fun. And
Mm.
then just like you, I started seeing people like benefiting from it. And when I got my first 10 cents from YouTube, I was like, oh,
I
this could
think
be
it's so funny.
something, you
Like
know?
a dollar 16.
That's
Yes.
right. That first little bit, right, just gives you that confidence that
Yeah.
something is working and that you can keep getting better and better. And I've tangented onto different things, but alas, I will focus in on where I'm going with, the life that I want to live and what we want for our family. And I've also come to realize that running a household can almost be thought of like a business as well, where moms, right, are often the CEO or the COO, whichever. There's different homes. But regardless of whether moms work outside or inside the home, this is kind of true in many cases. And an important part is we need to figure out what to say yes to, and more importantly, what to say no to, so that we can stay aligned with our values and what we want for our own lives and our families, right? So your business, as you were saying, has grown significantly over time, and you've expanded to these different topics like stress mastery, which we'll discuss shortly. But how do you determine if this new thing that you might want to do actually is the right thing for you, your business, and your family?
Amy, I have severe shiny object syndrome. So let's
I
just
do too. I
start
do too.
let's just start there. That I'm learning, I'm getting better at the yes and no game, but I'm still a yes far more often perhaps than I should. Partly because in the entrepreneurial world, you just never know which tiny yes could turn out to be this
Absolutely.
incredible opportunity, right? Like which email to or podcast to say yes to or like person to network with. Um, so I do tend to do a lot of yeses, but I still only have 24 hours in a day. So one of the ways in which I've figured out how to manage my time is I do time track, and this is not my personality at all. I am not it can't like I'm not a schedule person. Like if I said, okay, every Monday at 2 o'clock, I'm going to run my stats. Guess how often that would get done? Never. Never. Like I show up to have an interview with you because you are counting on me. If it's just me counting on me, not happening. So, just to be clear, my personality is not that of scheduling. However, a couple years ago, I did start time tracking just to know where is my time going? What am I spending it on? What is the ROI on that? And that way I could say, well, like for example, last year we ran Life Skills Now summer camp. I put in over 350 hours of my own time, not my team, for that camp. And I can go, okay, was that worth it? How much did I profit divided by the hours? What's my hourly rate? And so I can think of, I kind of know ish my own hourly value. So I can go, well, should I spend an hour driving to Aldi shopping and
Mhm.
coming home? Or should I spend the $17 that it's going to cost me to Instacart it? Instacart for the win,
Yeah.
right? So that
Love
allows me
Instacart.
that knowledge. And I wouldn't do Instacart if I was on a very tight budget, but
Yeah.
because my hourly value is now higher than it used to be as a Catholic school teacher, a lot,
Mhm, mhm,
I make different choices, right? And so one of the choices that I made this year is that one of the yeses that I had said was to be a speaker coach for
mhm,
an organization that trains speakers to get TEDx talks. I worked with them as a client, landed a couple of TEDx talks. I loved what they did. And I'm like, I can do that too. I can do everything. I'm awesome,
mhm.
right? I mean, I'm not that pompous, but like you always think like that's so fun. Like I want to do that too. And I
Yeah.
loved it. I love speaker coaching. I love working with adults. It's like being a teacher kind of, right? In a classroom
Yeah.
with adults. And it was really fun and it really filled me up. But when I looked at my hours at the end of the year, I had spent more hours speaker coaching than, for example, combined on my own podcast and all podcast interviews and summit interviews I'd done. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then there was another, I think I had spent more time speaker coaching than on like all my picky eating challenge and my picky eating membership stuff. And I thought, drat, like those items have a higher ROI. So even though I do love the speaker coaching, I had to let it go I made that tough decision to let it go. And I can always go back. I'm still affiliated with the organization. I do a tiny bit of speaker coaching, but I stopped the weekly because I could feel the reason I studied that so carefully, those hours, was because I could feel every Monday at noon when I got on the call to do my hour of speaker coaching. I was like, oh, I have so much I need to do.
Yeah.
This feels like such a huge interruption. And so I really studied it and made that hard choice. I am not good at those choices. That's like one like very rare example of me like making the good choice of what to cut. But I think it kind of helps people maybe see, what you can do. I've got two book babies somewhere gestating in here.
Uh-huh.
I cannot figure out when to find the time, when to prioritize the book and write a book. So that's like my next big challenge. I'm hoping October of this year
Yeah.
is like this gap between projects. And I don't know if it will work, but that's my hope is that I can choose one of those two book babies and work on it in October.
Oh, I love that. No, I resonate so hard with that because I started something else, right? Where I absolutely love books of all kinds and for kids, for adults. And so I started this and I'm going, okay, there's so many things I do. Where do I need to cut? So I think the word do we say no to is such an important question that we need to ask ourselves. Um, so let's dive into the stress part of it because you were just saying we don't have any time or enough time, right? None of us have enough time. And with all the things on our plates and life, all the changes, the unexpected things, I know you've shared this crazy fact too, where you say stress is the oh my gosh, I can talk. Stress is the leading cause of missing work and contributes to 80% of doctor visits. Why in the world is the impact so severe?
Our bodies have no idea what to do with the stress of modern living. That's why we're crumbling and it's turning into dis-ease, disease. Our bodies are created for an ancient world where, and I just did a great interview where she described this so well. So I'm gonna borrow Ann Odom's words. She said we are created to be in a relaxed state most of the time, creative, curious, introspective, and at intervals, very quick intervals, for our nervous system to spike to go into fight or flight because there's a real genuine threat to our life.
Mhm.
And we live in this world where we're constantly hit with notifications and perceived stresses and the news cycle. And oh my gosh, my kid is coming home from school sick. And I had so much on my to do list today. And we feel crushed as if a tiger is chasing us. And so our body it's like the reverse of how we were designed. We're spending very limited time in the relaxed, unstressful state and way too much time in fight or flight. And that is causing a lot of disease, both mental health and physical health diseases. Um, so because our bodies just can't catch up. And so we have to learn strategies to flip that around on its head back to where we should be.
Yeah. So maybe we need to define stress because maybe we all have different definitions of stress, but then can we also dive into what is stress mastery versus stress management? Because I think we often say stress management, but we
Mhm.
want to move into stress mastery, right?
Yes. So I was taught stress mastery by Dr. Heidi Hanna, who coined the term. She's awesome. And that was one of those things I said yes to mostly because I was feeling a lot of stress and I
Mhm.
kind of needed it for myself. So I said, well, I'll do this as a business person and Katie, the real person, will benefit. Um, so Dr. Hanna's definition of stress is it's the gap between your demand and your capacity. And again, this is a paradigm shift because a lot of times people talk about stress. I have so much stress. I'm feeling so much stress. Stressful things are happening. And we see stress as like events coming at us,
Mhm.
right? And if I could just stop those stressful events from happening, I would not feel stressed. But that is not true, right? It's not about the event, it's about our response to the event. And so if you can think of stress as a gap between all the demands put on you and your capacity to meet those demands, it's a totally different paradigm and a different definition than where you can go, oh, well, that means there's actually a pathway to fixing the problem because you can either reduce your demands, which may or may not be the stressful situations, right? It's not about saying I can't have the stressful situation happen. We're not pulling the strings here, right? We cannot stop everything stressful from happening to us, but we might need to reduce some of our other demands, or we can increase our capacity. Either or both of those will then reduce that gap, and then reduce the way our body feels the stress, which is really cool. And then you asked about stress management versus stress mastery. Most stress management courses or classes or recommendations will talk about that reduction. How do we
Mm.
reduce the stressful things happening to us and manage that stress, like put it in other boxes, right? But we aren't boxed. Like we're not boxed. Our mind and our body are connected, and our experiences in our professional life and our personal life and our mom life, like they cross,
Yeah.
like it or not. We have like one bucket. Um, so the idea of stress mastery is mostly on how to increase that capacity. It's physical activities and habits throughout the day that allow your capacity to be higher than it would be if you didn't do those habits, and therefore your stress is now more mastered. And it kind of uses the brain, uses good brain science to do so.
I love that. And can you share some of your favorite ways to increase your capacity throughout the day? Because people are going, oh, it's another thing to add to my plate, but it can be very short things that we do for ourselves throughout the day, right?
It is. It's really so stress mastery is about using the brain and the way we process our information coming in. So super quick brain science lesson. When information hits you, whether that's, auditory, you're hearing something, you're seeing something, you're processing some information, something happens to you, your brain processes that from the bottom up. And it happens in a millisecond, all of it. But the base part of the brain is what they call the lizard brain. And the lizard brain all day long is just saying, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And information coming in cannot be processed higher than the lizard brain until the lizard brain is satisfied that it is safe, which means if you can't feel safe, or if you don't feel safe, you're not going to be able to access what we call like the executive functioning, the upper parts of the brain, and do things like math and logic and decision making. You're stuck. So that's why when you're super stressed, you feel like your brain is broken. And it's not broken, but it's blocked. It's blocked by that feeling of unsafety or the lack of feeling of safety. So your brain needs to feel safe in its lower level. Then the midbrain is often called the monkey brain because that's about where monkeys stop. They don't have the upper brain. That's why it's the human brain. And the midbrain all day long is saying, am I loved?
Mm.
Am I loved? Does someone out there love me? And if that portion of the brain is not satisfied, the information doesn't get to be processed by the upper human part of the brain, which is where all the good stuff sits. That's
Yeah.
where our executive functioning, our planning, our logic, our thinking ahead, our goal setting, responding in calm words to our kids. That's in
Mhm.
the upper part. When we respond with yelling words, we're probably stuck in lizard brain or in monkey brain because we're not processing. So that's how the information comes in. And what we can do is learn skills to satisfy each of those parts of the brain so that we can access our full brain, full capacity, right? So the best way to do that is what Dr. Hannah calls the BFF. So I'll
Mm.
teach you that real quick. The BFF means breathe, feel, focus. And the breath is because that's going to satisfy that lizard brain. Um, Scientists used to think that when your heart beat faster, your breath went faster. And it's
Mm.
actually the reverse, which is great because I'm not in charge of my heart. I can't say, okay, heart, slow down now. But I'm super in charge of my breath. I can manipulate how fast or slow I'm breathing. So if you can regulate your breath and in fact extend the exhale is going to be the best way to regulate that breath. You are going to slow down your heart. You're going to calm your lizard brain and give your whole body and your mind access to at least the midbrain. So the first part of the BFF is to breathe. And it could be like 3 seconds in, 6 seconds out, 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. Takes about a minute, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and you'll feel it. You'll feel your body relaxing when you get it. Then the first F in BFF is feel, because the midbrain is the seat of our emotions. We need to feel loved. And in order to feel um, loved, basically, to feel satisfied, all you have to do is think of something you're really, really grateful for, right? So I often say, like, think of your child taking his first steps or walking across the stage at her graduation or the day you met your spouse, like just someone that you're very, very grateful for today, right? Like my husband makes the bed sometimes and I walk in and I go, oh, that is so nice, right? Like I'm
Small
so
things. Yeah.
grateful. Yes, he was
Mhm.
so thoughtful. And so anything, it can be tiny, it can be big. but you think of that and you allow yourself to feel it like really in your heart, kind of like that overflowing, blooming heart feeling. Once you've got that feeling, you're good. Your midbrain is satisfied. And now you can actually access your upper human brain, which is where the last F comes in, and that's focus. And who
Mhm.
doesn't want a little more focus, right? That's literally that for me, that's the definition of capacity. If I
Yeah.
can focus and get some stuff done, awesome, right? Like that's my
Yeah.
capacity. So you breathe, you feel, you focus, you feel gratitude, and then you can focus. And so taking time out to do that, and again, it takes 1 to 2 minutes. So yes, it is another thing to do. Some, even though I know I should do that, I'm very bad at it sometimes. It can be done in the car though. You don't
Mhm.
have to close your eyes, right? So you're driving to pick up your kids and you can be like, I'm kind of feeling on edge,
Mhm.
right? And by
Mhm.
the way, when you're already feeling on edge, it's probably like it's beyond the point where you
Yeah.
should have taken a break,
Mhm.
but at least you know, like, oh my gosh, there's time to take a break.
Yeah.
Breathe, feel, focus, and you can regulate your nervous system and get back to being fully present and being fully you. But there are other ways too. Super easy, right? Like I've been trying to eat lunch outside,
Mhm.
getting some sunshine, getting movement, laughing, watch a funny video, allow yourself to watch a stupid YouTube video for 2 minutes, right? Laugh with your friends. Anything that can, we talk about oscillation,
Mhm.
right? We eat, we stop eating, we go to sleep, we wake up, we breathe in, we breathe out. Everything in our life that's natural has a lovely oscillation. And so if we are working, whether that's working at momming and disciplining our kids and juggling homework, right? The home management, or whether that's working at a job or a career or a side hustle, whatever. If you're going really high level for a long time, you don't have the oscillation. So it's really just about giving yourself some little brain breaks and refilling your capacity throughout the day so that you can have those highs instead of flatlining, because we all know what that means.
Yeah. And I love this, and this is what I tell people all the time, like, we need to find those little joys daily, right? Where it's for ourselves, it's not selfish. We just need to have eyes to see them also and actually reflect on them and then build them into our day. If like those 5 minutes that we take to just take a walk around the house or, whatever, around the neighborhood or whatever it might
Yeah, yeah,
be
yeah.
that fills your cup, like you were saying. And I love talking life skills with you. So how can parents model this for their kids?
Oh, I mean, modeling, that's what parenting is, right? Is that
Yeah.
we need to model, we got to get our stuff together so that we can teach our kids. I do talk to my kids about breathing. And so with little kids, when they're freaking out, when they're tantruming, we want to co-regulate. So first we need to get them a little bit out of the tantrum, right? Which means we're going to hug them, we're going to tell them that we're there, we're going to acknowledge their emotions and all that stuff. But then we can teach them how to breathe. With little kids, I say blow out the candle
I love that. Mhm.
because they have to blow, they exhale longer, right? Smell the flower, blow out the candle. And again, this is like toddlers, preschoolers,
Yeah.
right? With bigger
But then
kids, we're
they
going to
take
say,
it through
let's
them, right? For life,
Mhm. Yeah.
taking the
And what a
breaths.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like imagine an 8-year-old who's having a really frustrating time. They struck out in their baseball game or they just feel like they can't figure out their homework. It's really hard. Like you can see kids go into lizard brain. You can see them like clamming up, closing down, the brain's not working. Their breathing gets faster. What a skill. If
Yeah.
an 8-year-old could say in their head, "Oh, like I'm freaking out. I'm not doing well. I need to get up and move my body, or I need to slow my breaths. Oh, and it's an incredible skill. So we have to model and we want to narrate, right? We want to say I think you're feeling really anxious right now. I think your brain is tight. I'll tell my kids all the time because they'll get stressed out about their homework. And I'm like, honey, like you're not gonna be able to do this homework when you're in lizard brain no matter how hard you keep pushing.
Yeah.
So let's figure out how to get that break or come here, let mom hold you for a minute, depending on the age, right? Not my teenagers, but like let's do some breaths. Unfortunately, teenagers don't always want to listen,
Yeah.
which is why
Yeah.
it's good to have other voices do that.
Absolutely.
But if it was, I mean, it wasn't a habit for my teens. I didn't know to teach this
Mhm.
when my teens were little kids. So now it's like all new to them and they think mom's all wonky and weird. So they don't usually listen. But the younger ones, like they get it and they'll listen and they'll let me help them regulate their breathing. Super helpful.
I love that. So we like to end by giving everyone a quick action or challenge to complete today to start making changes and then ask us about how like what they need to change, how it went, all of that. Will you share your challenge for us?
My challenge is to try a BFF. And I would like bonus challenge you to try multiple days in a row or multiple times during the day because one time, like that's not a very big oscillation. We need to go in and out of the hard work and the BFF. So remember, BFF is to breathe, slow down that breathing, extend the exhale so that you calm your lizard brain. Feel gratitude. Think of someone or something that makes you just melt with graciousness, with gratitude. And then allow yourself to access, your full focus. And in that final F, by the way, ladies, you get to go, okay, what's the next thing I need to do today? I can figure this out now with my clear mind and go, okay, what self am I going to bring to this next thing? How do I want to behave? Make that choice and then move on with your day. So it's not long, about 2 minutes, but I want you to try that BFF.
Yeah. I love that focus in the morning too, where I'm like, okay, what do I need to get done today? And then everything else is a bonus, right? Things like that.
Totally.
And I know you have a fantastic freebie as well as tool to offer to our moms. Can you share what that is and how people can connect with you?
Yes, so I have a 4-day stress mastery challenge, and basically I've taught you the BFF, so you already know like one of the days. Ta-da! You're ahead of the game.
Yay,
You're
you're
not
ahead of the game.
behind. It's awesome. So I would love to give you that 4-day stress mastery challenge for free. So it's just 4 quick videos, kind of walking you through what stress mastery is and how it works, and how you can integrate. That's kind of the end. It's how you can really integrate this oscillation into your day. And again, I'm speaking from a point of sometimes I do this okay, most of the time I forget about it until I hit a wall and I go, oh, right. Use the knowledge you have, Katie. Use the knowledge you have. So don't worry if this feels like a little hard at first and you feel some friction. Just give it a try. And hopefully the stress mastery challenge will help you with that.
I love that. And you have a whole course as well, right? If people wanted
Yes.
to go deeper.
Yep. Yep. The course is a little bit longer than the challenge to go deeper. Exactly.
I love that. Anything else you want to leave our mamas with?
Oh, that it's never too late. It's never too late to apologize for losing your temper with your kids, right? It's never too late to start a new business. I don't care how old you are. It's never too late to start good habits in your household, whatever that needs to be.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Katie, as always, for sharing your gift of teaching and helping us raise a healthier next generation. And remember, mamas, if you want to upgrade to the VIP pass, you get to keep all these talks forever and come back to them whenever you want to. And you get extra bonuses from the speakers as well. Always drop your questions, and we will see you back for more amazing summit speakers.